The First Empires. You are there. It is 1775 BC. You hurry toward the center of the city following a rapidly growing crowd. A new stone marker, or stela, is being put in place. Like everyone else, you want to see what the stela shows. As you push your way to the front of the crowd, you can see a carving at the top of the stela. It shows the noble king, Hammurabi, standing before the sun god, Shamash. The rest of the stela is covered with words describing laws. Some are new, but you recognize others from the old tablets that you've read in school. Hammurabi has given his people an organized code of laws. The Akkadian Empire. The Sumerian city-states wanted the wealth that came from controlling land and water. Because of this, they were often at war with one another. Eventually, an enemy army did come to conquer the Sumerians. The leader of the army that attacked the Sumerian city-states was Sargon. Sargon was not a Sumerian, but he had served in the army of the Sumerian king of Kish. Around 2350 BC, Sargon rebelled against the king and defeated him. Then, Sargon marched his army across Mesopotamia, conquering one Sumerian city-state at a time. In doing so, he created the world's first empire, bringing vast lands and various people under his control. Sargon set up his capital at the city of Akkad, in central Mesopotamia. For 55 years, Sargon ruled as emperor of what became known as the Akkadian Empire. Akkad became the most splendid city in all of Mesopotamia. Sargon used force and an organized government to maintain control over his empire. He was one of the first rulers to keep a standing army, a permanent army of paid soldiers. Sargon chose officials who he knew would remain faithful and appointed loyal nobles as governors to control conquered cities. Each governor provided Sargon with tribute collected from the conquered people. Tribute is a required payment from one ruler to a more powerful ruler. This tribute brought much wealth under Sargon's control. The Akkadian Empire lasted for more than 200 years after Sargon's death. In about 2300 BC, the empire stretched from what is now Iran to the Mediterranean Sea. It eventually fell, and Sumer city-states once again became independent. Hammurabi and the Babylonian Empire. Between 1790 BC and 1750 BC, Hammurabi, the king of the city-state of Babylon, conquered and united most of Mesopotamia under his rule. In this way, he formed a large empire that became known as the Babylonian Empire. As emperor, Hammurabi both encouraged trade and oversaw agriculture, irrigation, and building projects. In addition, he changed the tax system so that all people in the empire paid a fair share. Hammurabi is perhaps best remembered for organizing the laws of his land. Each city-state had long had its own laws. Hammurabi collected all these laws, sorted them, and came up with one collection of laws known as the Code of Hammurabi. The Code of Hammurabi consisted of 282 laws. They covered such matters as family relationships, taxes, land and business deals, trade, loans, debts, wages, and crime. Hammurabi changed the old laws that were unfair and made clear those that were confusing. He had the code carved into stone and placed in a public place for everyone to see. To Hammurabi, the code represented a way to rule, so that the strong should not harm the weak. Some of the laws followed the idea of an eye for an eye. These laws called for punishments that matched the crimes that had been committed. For example, a person who broke someone's arm in a fight would be punished by having his or her arm broken. Hammurabi's code lasted over the years, but his empire did not. By about 1600 BC, the Babylonian Empire had fallen. Kassite and Assyrian rule. After the fall of the Babylonian Empire, several different groups invaded and ruled Mesopotamia. In the 1600s BC, the Hittites, armed with war chariots and iron weapons, captured and looted Babylon. The Hittites soon returned to their homeland, and their neighbors, the Kassites, moved in and conquered Babylon. They ruled the city for more than 500 years. The Kassites adopted Babylonian laws, religion, and literature, which helped Babylonian culture live on. In time, the Assyrian Empire gained control of the region. The Assyrians had a great desire to control the trade routes in southwestern Asia. Their mastery over powerful new weapons helped them meet this goal. From the Hittites, they had learned how to make and use iron weapons and war chariots. The Assyrian army introduced the battering ram, a heavy wooden beam used to break down walls. They were also among the first to use the lance, a spear attached to a long handle. One by one, the Assyrians conquered their neighbors. By the 700s BC, the Assyrians ruled the largest empire in the world. They controlled all of Mesopotamia, as well as lands in present-day Turkey, Egypt, and the Persian Gulf. The Assyrians were great innovators. Assyrian kings united their huge empire by building the world's first system of paved roads and developing a postal system. The Assyrians were the first to make locks that opened with keys. They also invented the magnifying glass and built the first libraries. In 609 BC, the Assyrian Empire fell to its enemies, and the new Babylonian Empire rose in its place. One of this empire's best-known rulers was Nebuchadnezzar. He is believed to have built the terraced garden known as the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. This garden is remembered as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.